Everyone. Greetings to those who are joining us online. Let me begin my sharing with you by way of a story of a class of kindergarten kids who one day they were asked by their teacher about their ambition in life and what they want to become when they grow up. One of them said, "Teacher, I want to become a priest." The other said, "Sister, teacher, I want to become a sister or a nun." Another one said, "I want to become a doctor or a nurse. I want to become a pilot, an engineer. I want to become a businessman or a farmer." Then everyone already said what they want to become when they grow up until the last person, the last pupil said, "Teacher, I want to see." Apparently, this pupil was blind, and all he would like to become is to see. There are different ways of seeing things, but one of the aspects of truly seeing something is to be able to transcend the physical manifestations of what we see around and see them for what they truly are. Because oftentimes, we see things based on what we perceive from our side, but not on what they truly are. In today's gospel, we have Jesus who saw Matthew. And there's a kind of a magical encounter in the seeing of Jesus in the person of Matthew, because he saw a man who was in great pain, who is deeply hurt, who is in need of acceptance, because this man was a tax collector. And in the time of Jesus, to be a tax collector was not an easy thing to be in, because you are considered an outcast. You are perceived as a traitor, because a tax collector is, of course, collecting taxes for the Romans, the occupiers, the colonizers of the Jewish nation. And thus, you are seen as someone working in cahoots with your enemies. You are a traitor, and thus a public sinner. And this was the situation of Matthew, that he was an outcast, and yet when Jesus saw him, Jesus saw something else in Matthew, something very special, to the point that upon seeing him, Jesus invited Matthew to come and follow me. These days, people are fond of following someone on social media, di ba? Twitter, we follow them. Facebook, we become followers of celebrities. When we follow someone, we get to know their activities, what they're doing, their statements, and many other things. Because we want to get to know the person, we follow them. And this was the point of Jesus. He invited Matthew to follow him because he wanted Matthew to get to know Jesus more, but also Jesus wanted to know Matthew more. He wanted the two of them to be closer and to get to know each other more. And this is the kind of seeing, perhaps, that we are invited to have in our life. Because in today's situation, there are many things going on around. Despite the pandemic, there are many things that we need to see. And it is always said that we might be in the same ocean, turbulent ocean of the pandemic, but we are not actually in the same boat. Because some of us are staying in safe houses. Some of us are staying in good neighborhood. Some of us have not been infected by the virus. Some of us have not met someone with the virus. Some of us are able to continue our work. Some of us are working from home. But there are those who are having it the harder way. There are those who are being pushed to the wall because of the pandemic. They have lost their jobs, or they have lost someone who died of the virus. Or maybe they're staying in a house where they could not afford to be safe to observe physical distancing, because simply there's no available room in the house for them to be far from each other. So we might be experiencing the same turbulent waters and great or big waves, but we are in different boats. Some are riding luxurious boats than others. And thus we need to see around what's happening to us, because we are really fortunate in more ways than one. The fact that we are here enjoying the physical presence of attending this Mass, and the fact that some of us are online and are able to attend this Mass, then maybe we could assume that we are doing better, and better perhaps than others. And thus, all the more we need to see what's going on around. To be able to see is really to show mercy. This is the point of the gospel in the last part of the gospel, when Jesus said, "I desire mercy, not sacrifice." There's a world of difference between sacrifice and mercy. To sacrifice is to offer something to gain favor from the deity or from the divine. During the time of during pagan period, this was what people were doing. They would offer a sacrifice in the form of animals, or even in the form of offering a human person to perhaps pacify the angry deity, or perhaps to gain favor from God, or to ask to tell God to stop the storm, or stop the typhoon, or the raging water, and to spare them from calamity. Sacrifice is done so that we will gain from God what we are asking for. Mercy is something else. Mercy is based on the merit of the goodness of the Lord, not based on our own merit, on what we have done, whether we are deserving or not. Mercy, in fact, would invite us to see what is going on around us, not because people are deserving of our attention and concern, but because we have been touched by God's mercy. Pope Francis said that mercy is the face of God. Once we have seen the face of God in the form of mercy, we will be changed, and we will be able as well to see what we are supposed to see. And this was the experience of Matthew. He was seen by Jesus, the core of his being, with all his vulnerability and fragility, to the point that Jesus invited him to follow him. When I was a missionary in Kenya, we went to a bush mission, a far-flung area, and we were not very familiar with the place. And in Africa, there are many, Father Dindo also worked in Africa, there are many places wherein you have to find your own way. There are no roads. It's an open space, kind of a savanna, sub-Saharan desert. Open space, you just find your own way, and you get a general sense of the direction of where you're going, and you just have to figure it out. So we tried our luck going to the bush mission for the first time. Then along the way, we were doubtful whether we were heading to the right direction, until we stumbled upon someone who was walking. And so we asked that person to guide us, and he gave us direction. He said, "You travel this way, over the hill you will see a big tree, then take that path, and then after the big tree you will see a seasonal river, a dry creek. You cross that seasonal river, and then you will see another hill, then you go over that, and then somehow you will find where you are supposed to be going." The man who was giving us direction was getting the sense that we were confused by what he was saying. So instead of just explaining more, he said, "Okay, let me accompany you then. Let me journey with you so that you will truly be able to reach your destination." And that's what he did for us. Seeing is really putting ourselves into the shoes of other people. It is, in the words of the American Indians, walking 3 moons in their moccasins, in their shoes, putting ourselves into the shoes of other people. There's something beautiful about mercy, because they said it is actually founded on compassion. The manifestation of mercy is compassion. And compassion is a beautiful word. It's actually a combination of two words, com and passion. Com means to be together, communion, community, communication, being together. And passion, the word passion is from the Latin word pati. Pati means suffering. So to show compassion is to suffer together. It is not enough that you reach out to someone and kind of give something to that person who is in need, but rather understanding where the person is coming from and seeing the pain and the suffering of that person. And this is perhaps our invitation today. USC is grateful for marking its 73rd Charter Day. And as I said already earlier, it has been a very difficult journey for the university, for the Carolinians, tumultuous, arduous journey, and yet somehow we have made it to this day, and we are grateful to the Lord. And as a way of showing our gratitude to God is to show mercy to others, to be compassionate, to be forgiving, to be understanding, and to be able to see things through their eyes and in their own shoes. We therefore ask the Lord, the God of compassion, the Sacred Heart, that truly we will be gifted with the grace of mercy and compassion.